It is finally here, one of the most anticipated grudge matches probably in UFC history. It's the meat event, Colby Chaos Covington taking on Jorge Gamebred Masvidal. And yo, if you're new here, real quick, this is Meat Boy MMA. He's Meat on Boy. Grill that subscribe button if you're looking for locks and laughs. And in this one, can't wait to break this down, Meat. It's Chaos Covington, who, if we look right away at Tapology, is garnering 85%. 15% for Masvidal, and it's kind of reflective of what the odds makers are thinking as well, because Chaos is a decent 330 favorite to the plus 260 dog that is Masvidal, and makes sense, right? I mean, if we look at both of their most recent competitions, it was against Kamaru Usman, and the difference being that Jorge got knocked out, one of the greatest knockouts of all time, knockout of the year by Usman, whereas both times Colby fought Usman, they were very close contests. Ultimately, Usman emerged victorious in both, but the way that those fights played out just looked a little bit differently. And so you wonder when now matched together, what is Masvidal versus Covington going to look like? And we know all about the history, right? These guys used to be roommates, used to be best friends, now turned bitter rivals. And for the longest time, Masvidal was sort of running things at 155 while Covington was at 170. So whenever those training sessions were ongoing through most of their years spent together, they were in different weight classes, right? So I think it's essential to note that. But now they're both 170. They've both been there for a while, and it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. So, what are your thoughts on this storyline? Are you more excited to see this grudge match, or are you maybe even a little bit bummed to see these guys fight? And just because they used to be like true boys. And how do you see this one going down?
Yeah, this is as a fight standpoint, this is such a sick fight. I mean, we have Gamebred, he's always game, obviously, amazing grappler. Honestly, all around great fighter, but his stand up he's definitely one of the top stand up boxers in that division. And then Colby, who's been absolutely blowing everybody's mind on how well his stand up has improved. And I mean, his wrestling and ground pedigree is already enough said from his credentials and record. I mean, he really doesn't lose to anybody unless his name is Kamaru Usman. So, by all means, should be a one-sided fight. But I've thought that about Darren Till, about many other fighters, and Masvidal somehow pulls through. He pulls through except for the last two, which were his name is Kamaru Usman. Both these guys' kryptonite is Kamaru Usman, and we're gonna find out, who really did get the better of each other in the training room. Like, did Masvidal? Because they both are convinced and say it. I beat him up all the time, or the other guys I always beat him up. So it's gonna be very interesting to see who it is because one of them knows that the other one is better. I would lean that Colby's probably the better fighter. Even Usman says it, and Usman knows Colby wanted that fight, meaning Colby's got the confidence on how easy of a fight this is. But I really hate to see this fight, especially after seeing if you watch all the videos of when they're really young, like they look like they're like 18 years old, but they're like in their young 20s. I mean, these guys were best friends and now they're like worst enemies. And just to see that and then knowing that they lived together for 8 years, they were in each other's corners. Honestly, it's kind of sad to see. And a part of me wants to think this is a WWE antic, and they are both on the same side, pitching a amazing story and drama for the boys to watch a juicy fight because everybody is sold by George Masvidal's charisma and confidence that this is going to be a Ben Askren upset 2.0. That's what everybody is saying that I'm seeing, and that's bullish on Masvidal. And then other people are saying Colby's going to mop him with chaos. I'm going to go with Colby just as a pure like logical standpoint, but you just never know with the game bred. He is just a wild man and he's always got something up his sleeve.
Great points, and yeah, you never know, right? Because just like we thought that Darren Till was gonna walk through Masvidal, and Masvidal was an underdog in that contest, and then a lot of people were very bullish on the then undefeated Ben Askren, and he obviously put that to bed within 6 seconds as a dog in that fight too. So it's not like Jorge Masvidal has exceeded expectations as an underdog before, and if he's able to do that again versus Colby Covington, then it's going to be one of those things where it's like after the fact, we should have known sort of thing. But I mean, this is Colby Covington, a guy who you mentioned his stand-up and how it's really developed throughout these last few years. I mean, I think back to that clinic he put on against Robbie Lawler, where he averaged like over 100 strikes landed per round. He landed like 500 plus strikes in that contest. Just truly overwhelmed him with an array of volume, and then he sort of did the exact same thing to Tyron Woodley, right? Just nonstop pressure, able to land hundreds upon hundreds of strikes. And do you think he's going to be able to do something similar against Masvidal, like be able to pressure such a strong striker like Jorge, be able to throw so much volume? Or do you think that Masvidal, or do you think Covington is primarily going to try and make this a grappling contest, maybe pin him up against the cage, get him to the mat, keep him there? What do you think? Do you think he's going to strike more than he grapples, or is it going to be balanced? Any thoughts?
Yeah, no, I think this is actually gonna be a striking match. I think Colby has got something to prove. I think he's gonna try to put him away. I think he's gonna try to knock him out, finish him, show that my stand-up game is way better than yours. You might have had me back in the day, not anymore. But also, the same side of my thoughts is Colby's going to go in with a few kicks here and there. Once he sees that takedown opportunity, he is going to take it, smash and smother, and get the victory. I will be very surprised if this goes the whole 5 rounds, and if it does, will Masvidal be able to keep that pace and not gas out? We already know Colby can. Masvidal's never shown any quit or any gas, but I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen him go versus the pressure that Colby brings up, and can he keep that with 5 rounds? That'll be interesting to see. But I don't see any reason why neither one of these guys should gas out. But it will be interesting to see if maybe Masvidal does if it goes a distance.
Yeah, I mean, and we did see Masvidal go 5 rounds that first time against Kamaru Usman, right? That was on a week's notice too. So, I mean, I think Usman fought maybe a different fight in that one. He, was worried about the power that was coming back towards him. In that second contest, obviously Usman was able to get the finish, but for me, I guess that was enough to prove that there's probably not going to be gas tank issues, for Masvidal. But to your point, I mean, it's sort of a different pressure and a different onslaught, a different volume that you're having to embrace when Colby Chaos Covington is in your face. So perhaps that will start to wear on him. And Colby's able to get that finish. And if you look over at Tapology, 85% is rolling with Colby Covington. About 15% of it is Brown. So there is a decent sliver who tends to think that maybe he can get that KO TKO. Majority, however, is beige with that Covington decision. 15% rolling with Masvidal, about 13 of it is Brown. So looks as though Tapology, those who are bullish on Masvidal tend to think that the YOLO Meat Bomb will be the only pathway to victory. I kind of agree with that. I think that it's going to be a stretch for Masvidal to win 3 rounds against Colby, just because Colby does such a good job of mixing things up and really fighting at a pace that he wants to dictate. And so it's going to be near impossible, in my opinion, unless you're Kamaru Usman, to win a decision against Colby Covington. And ultimately, I think that Covington's going to get the win in this one, but I like him by decision. I think that Masvidal is going to be able to survive this thing. He's going to lose. I think he'll win maybe a round, maybe two, but ultimately, I think Covington's going to mix it up well enough. Masvidal is going to be able to survive long enough, and Covington wins a unanimous decision. So I'm seeing it like Tapology in this one. Any chance that it's a decision, or you think Covington for finish for sure?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, a decision is probably the most probable, but I don't know. I'm just feeling Colby Covington's got a chip on his shoulder that he's got to put this guy away so he can get back to that title. So I'm predicting a finish, ground and pound TKO.
Wouldn't be the craziest thing in the world. We know Colby's going to come into this fight with something to prove. Maybe he spits some fire on the mic and suddenly challenges Adesanya at 85 coming up next, because uh, Uncle Dana kind of put the kibosh on the idea of Covington getting another title shot at 170, given how those two Usman fights went down. So perhaps he does something slick and inserts himself right away in that middleweight mix, because if that's where he's going, I'm interested to see how he fares for sure. But I like Covington by decision. He's going Covington finish. Let us know in the comments if you're rolling with Meaty Masvidal, or is Colby just going to make light work and pick up another W. Let us know, me boys.
Yo.